If you have a Y filter on your drip system, which is a good thing to have, that way it collects anything, any kind of sand or debris, and it collects it there in the filter and not let it get in to your drip system and clog your emitters. It's a good thing to have, but if you have one of those and you're not sure if it needs to be cleaned out or not, I'm going to show you an easy way to be able to tell. We're going to get down in the valve box, we're going to turn the valve on manually, and you're simply going to be able to hear if the water's flowing through there at a good rate, a good amount of rate, the way it's supposed to, and if it might sound like it's clogged up. Let me show you something. So we're here working on a job doing a maintenance, sprinkler maintenance type check, and we've got some drip systems and things, and it does look really dry, and the homeowner said those filters might be clogged up. And so I'm over here at the valve box. You can see our setup here, and I've got 3 valves that run the drip for here in this backyard. Every one of them has a filter on it, and then they actually have a pressure regulator here on the bottom, which is a really good setup for your drip system. But I'm going to show you how you can tell if this filter, there's no kind of indication window or anything like that. How do you know if it's clogged up or not? Well, I'm going to get down in here pretty far so you can be able to hear, and let's see if we can tell. So I'm going to start on this one, turn the solenoid, just quarter turn, half a turn actually. I can hear water going through it. Doesn't sound really strong. Turn that one off. Let's turn the next one on to see if there's any kind of difference. Now, I will go ahead and tell you, I already cleaned this one out. So I'm going to show you what the difference is now. Now there's a big difference. You can tell, I can actually hear it going through the regulator. I can hear it moving, and actually when I turn this on, the drip is actually this section. Well, you can see I've got a leak there I got to fix, but it's really flowing through there really good. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to get into that valve box, you're going to turn that valve on manually. The reason you want to do it manually and not off the controller is that way you can be there and you can really just listen with your ear to see if there's any kind of difference between the different zones, or if there's a difference in a filter being clean and a filter being clogged up. Now let's open this up, let's clean it out, and I'll show you the process, and we have other videos on this too, but I'm going to show you how I'm going to clean this one out and we'll get everything running good again. So one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to get down here. This is a Rainbird PGA valve, and this little knob on top is called the flow control, and I'm going to screw this righty-tighty to the right. It's actually screwing that flow control down, and it's pushing that diaphragm down where it doesn't let the water go by. And then I'm going to open this valve up manually. So I'll turn that solenoid, and I'm going to take off this flush cap right here. See a little bit of water coming out of there already. Now I'm going to slightly turn to the left my flow control, and you can see I actually saw a little bit of stuff already coming out of there. And I'm going to just kind of flush the stuff that's in the bottom of that filter out, and kind of what's in that filter. Push that flush cap back on. I'm going to go ahead and turn the valve off, turn that solenoid. Now I'm going to open this up. And the reason I did it that way is because whatever's in the bottom of this filter, I want to go ahead and flush, or bottom of the, like the Y filter part, I want to flush that out before I open it up and it just falls back down in there. So this is just I've got the flush cap. Now this is another cap that holds the filter on. You just turn, twist it out, and there's the filter that's in this particular Y filter. Now down in there, that's what I wanted to flush out first before I took this off. Now one of the things you can do is you can take your finger in there and just kind of rub on that filter and try to get all that sand out of there. Now if you can't get this clean, you're going to have to buy a new one, replace it, and that might be the best option for you. But I usually try to rub my finger in there, get as much of that kind of loosened up as I can. You could take a toothbrush or another little scraping type tool, I guess. You don't want to break this filter here, the mesh on this filter. And then I'm just here at my hose. I'm going to turn the hose bib on. So I've got my hose now, and you just rinse that thing out. You might kind of, if you had a toothbrush or something, or just use your finger on each end. Scrape as much of that out of there as you can. Sometimes you might put a little bit of pressure behind it. Hard to do when I'm holding the camera. You can tell it's already a lot cleaner. A little bit of stuff in there, so I'm going to work on this, but this is the process you want to do. Okay, now I've got the filter cleaned. I'm going to put it back in here. Slide that in there, and take your top, slide it over, and then just screw it back down. You do want to make sure it gets on there tight, that way it doesn't leak around this base of this thing. Let's turn this valve on. Let's make sure my flow control is all the way open now. Yep. Turn that valve back on manually. Oh yeah, big difference. I don't know if you can hear it from where you're listening through the video, but big difference on what it was doing before and what it's doing now. So if you notice your drip system maybe not working that good, there's not a lot of water dripping out of the emitters from the drip tubing, or if you turn that valve on manually, it doesn't sound like the water's really rushing through there, it might be time to clean out the filter, the Y filter of your drip system. You really want to do this every so often, at least maybe once a quarter, but once a month might be a good idea, particularly if you're on a well or other kind of pump system that it's sucking some stuff back into your system. Something to really think about and something to do. Kelly Staggs here, American Irrigator, trying to make you a better irrigator. Consider subscribing, that way you don't miss any irrigation tips.